So if we just get into a posture that suits you, maybe to begin with, either have your eyes open or closed. You can have them open maybe just briefly, because what I find useful is just having a look around the space that you're in. It's probably a familiar space. Take it for granted. Just trying to get into that sense of being mindful of the space that you're in as well. Having a look around, maybe having a look at how you're sitting, even where your hands are. If you're like me, you're sitting on a chair or something, maybe your hands are resting on your knees. If you're sitting cross-legged, just have a sense of where your hands are, where your body is. And arriving, here we are together. Maybe just noticing how you're breathing. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it free? Does it feel a little bit held? No particular need to change it, just notice. What about those parts of your posture, parts of your body that you're feeling pressure? So it's pressure with the floor or the ground or the seat. So there'll be different areas, maybe your hands, your feet, your bum on the seat, or however you're sitting, maybe it's your knees. If you're like me and you're in a chair, maybe you can feel the back of the chair just gently resting against the lower back. Just whatever you can feel, just notice that. Just have a sense of what your attitude is at the moment. Is there an interest there? Is there sort of sinking in? Maybe it feels quite nice to be sitting, meditating, or in that posture, or maybe there's a bit of agitation. Again, just noticing. And we'll start by just letting the awareness almost flow down. For most of us, we tend to feel that our awareness is coming from the head area, because we spend most of our time, most of us in our head area. And that's what it feels like. So maybe if that's the case, just imagine that the awareness is flowing down through the body, through the torso, through the hips, down through the legs, and dropping, first of all, paying more attention to the feet, the pressure of the feet on the floor. You could phrase it in a way, you're also noticing gravity. We're not really ever notice it. The only way we notice it is that sense of weight. So we're held within the field of gravity. And having a sense of the feet, the bottom of the feet, wherever you feel the pressure. And what about the toes? And the attention just stay with the toes. Anything you notice particularly? We're trying to look for sensations rather than images or that sense of location. Include the whole of the feet now. What sensations are presenting themselves to your awareness? Maybe there's a tingling, or you can even feel heat or warmth or cold, maybe. And gradually coming up to include the ankles, the tendons at the back of the heel and the front Onto the leg now, maybe just the bottom of the shin, moving up to include the calf and all of the shin. The sides of the legs as well. So what do you notice sensation-wise? Let's include now the knees. So that knee joint, the front of the knees, the side of the knees, and behind the knees. Again, maybe the image comes to mind. That's good because it gives you a way in. But also looking for sensations, physical sensations. Let's include the rest of the legs, so those big muscles at the front and the back. And obviously also the bum on the seat, the pressure. Inside and the outside of the legs. Maybe noticing how easy it is for your mind to have a sense of location of the legs and also maybe images. Maybe you're noticing movement in the muscles, little twinges perhaps. You might even be able to notice pulsing in the legs, the blood pulsing. Just briefly check in with your breathing. How's that going? You could also maybe draw a deep breath into the pit of the stomach, just a few of those, just to get a sense of bringing the breath down. And as you do so, also including the whole sort of pelvis area, the hips, and the groin and the lower back, even the muscles. You might start noticing the movement of the breathing in the lower belly. Including all of that sort of belly area. Also the sides around that area and the back as well, the muscles in the back and sense of the spine. Touching into the lower half of the rib cage. What do you notice here? Maybe you notice some energy, or maybe there's some tensions. Just pay extra attention here in this belly area. And just notice how it feels to place your attention here. And allowing the awareness to sort of rise up to include the rest of the torso. Including the sides of the torso, the rib cage and the back, shoulder blades. Noticing the breathing, rising and fall of the torso as you breathe in and out. And of course the shoulders, Maybe there's some tension in the shoulders, so you can always move around a bit. That helps. Now I need awareness to flow down through the arms, all of the arms, through the elbows, through the wrists and the hands, and including the fingers. Sometimes the hands is a useful place to place attention. There can be a lot of energy available to notice. Maybe you notice heat or cold. Including the neck now, to the throat and the back of the neck. The spot, the little dimple where the neck meets the torso. Just resting the attention there a bit. Almost allowing the awareness to drop slightly inside the throat area. Noticing the breathing. Sometimes you might even get a sense of spaciousness in the throat area. And including the chin and the bottom of the throat meets the chin. So you just see if there's any tension here. And also check in with the cheeks and the jaw. See if you can relax away from any tension. Having the general sense of the face, particularly. Lots of muscles in the face. Any sort of energy or muscles that you can feel, relaxing or tightening. Maybe you can notice at the tip of the nose the air coming in and flowing out. Including the eyebrows and the eyes and the eyelids, particularly. And the ears, even behind the ears. How attentive, how much can your attention, your awareness notice? Sometimes it can be surprising how much you can notice. Including the top of the head now. And we'll pay attention a bit to above the head. Is there an awareness of aboveness? Obviously you can't see anything. Obviously anything above is not really being able to be acknowledged or known by the usual five senses. Do you have a sense of aboveness? And also dropping backwards and having a sense of behindness. Is there a sensibility? Have you got a, can you tune in to the sense that you know that there is behind? So beyond the skin of the body. If you do notice anything, how does that feel? Is that okay to notice? If you're not noticing anything, that's fine, but just allow the possibility that maybe you could notice. And what about below? Again, below the sense of the feet and the floor, so a sense of belowness. And to round it off, just that sense of in front. There's the world in front of you. Even though your eyes might be closed, you have a sense of in front. So with this almost 360 degrees sensibility, can you imagine that as you're breathing directly into the heart center from every direction. So from behind, from the sides, from below, from above and from the front. Every time you breathe in, it's coming directly into the heart center from every direction. Every time you breathe out, it's going out into every direction. How does this feel? And while we're here in the heart, looking at how this feels, just see if you can sort of be aware of what you might call your emotional weather is. How are you feeling? You don't have to go particularly into specifics. It's more just getting a sense of, do the feelings feel like it's opening? Or do they feel a bit tight and maybe a bit closing or resisting? Just see if you can notice. And if you do notice anything, maybe it comes in words or maybe just images or even exposes itself in sensations, perhaps. How does it feel just to notice those feelings? Be aware of them, be mindful of them. Does the actual awareness of feel a good thing to do? Does it feel friendly, maybe? But if there's a tightness or maybe sometimes there's a resistance, how does it feel just to notice that tightness and that resistance? Does that feel okay? And still breathing, noticing the breathing, coming into the heart space. Now just sort of letting go of doing anything in particular. Nothing to do but just being here right now. And just before we finish this sort of coming into ourselves, settling in, just almost have a look around within the space of your awareness or your meditation, if you like. Almost checking in, well, how is it now? How are you now? Is there anything of interest that you've noticed? It could be some agitation, or it might be some enjoyment or pleasure. Just trying to get that mindful sense as clear and honest as possible for right now, just for you. I'm going to ring the bell. So unless anyone's got any particular questions, it's fine. So maybe while we're still probably pretty much in our postures, just come back in. Whatever it takes to just arrive again. Might not take that much. Again, you can play around with the eyes open or closed. If you're used to eyes closed, sometimes it's a bit difficult to shift to eyes open. But it's important to remember that this is your meditation. Even though someone's guiding, this is your world that you're visiting, you could say. So coming back into, let's go back into the heart breathing again. So having a sense of breathing into the, even sometimes I find it useful to remind myself the heart space. I put my hand on my heart area, and you're sort of trying to imagine a bit that the space in the torso, but also not limiting it to the torso. And what I mean by that, the space that you're getting in touch with, you might find is small, or it could be really big. So whatever's available, and that may change as well. And if you allow the possibility of changes and openings, then they're more likely to be able to be noticed. So come into the heart area. Imagine that the breath's going directly in from the front, from above, from behind, from the sides, from below, from everywhere really. You can imagine that however you like. It might come in through all the pores of your body. It might be light, you might feel it as light, you might feel it as energy. Just whatever works for you at the moment. Even taking a few deeper breaths. So here we are breathing, natural breathing. Life is coming in, and the breath is flowing out. And here we are. Maybe checking in how you feel, how it is, what's the emotional weather, what's the physical weather. What's the quality of your attentiveness, your mindfulness? It's a bit drowsy, or is it quite clear? You've got lots of thoughts going on, or have the thoughts quietened down a bit? Just checking in, just paying attention. Is your attention quite friendly, would you say? Or is it a bit pokey? Could it be a bit less pokey? Could you be a bit kinder? You're resting the attention into the heart space. We're going to use the imagination a bit. So you're in touch with your heart space, and whatever's available is available. So if you invite yourself in, some of us might do that visually. You might literally invite yourself as a being in to a space. It might be different. Just a sense of opening the door to your heart and inviting yourself to enter and arriving. How does that feel? Does that feel like a kind, friendly thing to do? Or is there a bit of tension, maybe? And just noticing. Does it feel like just to notice what arrives when you invite yourself in? And maybe just to explore a bit more, just imagine something maybe fairly recent, might make it easier, but something you would say that you've done, you've given generously, or you've done a deed for somebody. It can be a small deed, a big deed, anything that you feel that you've actually given of yourself to another person, another being. Just getting a sense of that, using the imagination to get a sense of the flavour, if you like, of what that felt like, what that feels like. And what does it feel like to bring that to mind? Maybe it warms the heart, maybe it opens your heart. Or maybe it's not quite as straightforward as that. Can you be alongside this good deed that you've offered? Can you accept it? In a way, we're trying to use our mindfulness to whatever extent that's available, just to sort of notice how we actually feel about things, including how we feel about things that we do well. Humanity at its best, maybe. Now we're going to turn it around a little bit. So either you could let yourself be with yourself, or that self can now leave. You can leave your door open. Just have a sense of someone that's given something to you recently, that's offered you something. Bring that into your heart, bring them into your heart even, whatever, however you find the best way to bring that in. There'll probably be some thoughts and memories. And still breathing into the heart space from all directions. And how's that to notice? I find it easy to accept what they've offered. You feel friendly and open. Or maybe it feels a bit awkward and tight. Just noticing whatever's coming. Even if it's a bit uncomfortable. Now just having a sense of just letting go again, just resting, watching the breath coming and going. How are you feeling right now? Having a sense of the body, physical body. So maybe the feet and the hands particularly in your seat. And again, having the sense of the space around you, the room, the space that you're in. Seeing if just before I ring the bell, just sort of checking in again, just sort of getting a sense of how you are, what's going on. ring the bell and spend a bit of time, maybe if anyone's got any comments or questions, want to clarify something, just feel free to do so. If you feel free not to. Just being present again. How present are we at the moment? We're here together, exploring mindfulness, exploring, in a way, what are we doing? We're using the mind, we're using this wonderful mind, this ability for the mind to notice what's going on. Even for the mind to be able to ask questions of ourselves. Maybe coming into the heart center, or just maybe just trying to have that sense of being open, being friendly and kind. So the kindness might be that actually you don't want to do the practice. So it's really trying to tune into what it is right now you would like to do. And you may find there's no preference at all. There's not much going on, or you might find that there's some definite sense of what's going on. So we're tuning in, we're turning in, if you like. Our physical body, how does that feel? Our breathing. Our senses, we can hear. We can have a sense of the visual sense to some degree. Also the bodily senses. Also that sense maybe of the surroundings, of the behind, the below, the above and the in front. Maybe you could even take deep breaths and a big sigh just to relax. And here we are together. So again, trying to bring the attention more to that heart center. Just a reminder that the heart center's the place that we usually feel our emotions. It's most obviously. This is where we fall in love from. We can feel this. This is where we feel sad. Often our emotions are most noticeable in the heart area. There's a good reason that we send pictures of hearts to the people we care about. It's something we know. So just coming into that. Maybe just like almost dropping a little stone into this area. Just one of those small niggly things that you know you're a little bit niggled about, usually to do with another person. It might be to do with yourself in relation to the other person. Just letting it drop in. Trying not to go particularly into the stories or the content. It's more having a sense of how do you feel. What does that annoyance feel? Where does it feel? Is there a body place that it seems to inhabit? Do you feel a tension? Do you feel some muscles tensing up maybe? Or do you even hold your breath perhaps as you're revisiting? Just trying to be alongside it. Almost you could imagine that you were like a good friend, one of your good friends you're sharing this tale with. And they're going to be with you with it. They're not necessarily going to have to sort it out. But they're listening and they're hearing you. And there's a bit of pain probably. Now see if you can bring into this space. If you have a sense of, I don't know, what would you say? If you have a sense of a compassionate, wise being, or a sense of some sort of more universal, bigger energy than yourself that you relate to, or a bigger you, perhaps, you at your best, or even a close friend. Within this, what if they were to give you, if you have a particular area in your body that you're holding, what if they were to just place a gentle hand on that area, or maybe a hand on your shoulder, just a sort of supportive hand. Just so you know that they're there supporting you. Open. Sort of understanding your discomfort and dis-ease. How does that feel? And then just let go. Nothing else to do. Let go of the situation, the thoughts, the memory. Touching into the body and the heart space. Maybe you can even almost rest backwards. It's a sense of being held and supported. Just checking in with yourself, your physical body maybe. How does that feel? How's the emotional weather? Are there lots of thoughts or less thoughts? And just before I ring the bell, just having again just a sense of the room around you. Place that you're in. Maybe as you open your eyes, even before I ring the bell, you could look around. And what's the relationship you have now with the space that you're in? Has that changed, perhaps? Does it just feel familiar? In a way, just checking into the quality of your attention now.